Hello, it's Chuck from Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation. We first heard of Matthew Stubbs right after our conversation with Josh Batty last year at the Sinclair. He was just about to take the floor with his band Matthew Stubbs and the Antiguas for his 2017 Boston Music Award-winning residency, DownBeat Mondays at the Sinclair. The B-movies showing on the TVs, along with a psychedelic light show and animation coloring the band, create a surreal environment, made all the more amazing by the fantastic instrumental mix of what has been called acid blues. While he has 2 great solo albums under his belt, he has just released his first self-titled album with the Antiguas, called Matthew Stubbs and the Antiguas, but you gotta hear these guys live to really appreciate the entire package. We'd like to give a special shout out to the folks at the Sinclair. The Sinclair is a former brewery turned award-winning music venue and restaurant in Harvard Square featuring the best emerging and established touring bands and an adjacent new American kitchen with gastropub influences. The kitchen features a cozy, vibrant downstairs bar and an upstairs dining room with an open kitchen and patio overlooking Church Street. Josh Batty and the Sinclair team took great care to create a fantastic room with a state-of-the-art sound system and clear sightlines. The Sinclair has quickly become a favorite of artists and fans alike. So here is our conversation with Matthew Stubbs, recorded at the Sinclair Kitchen in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Do you record yourself when you do these things? Do you like go off the board and record yourself?
Not here, no. There's no board here. I mean, there's a board, but instruments are not going.
Because I have a Spire. You know the Spire things?
No.
I'll show it to you. It's Isotope.
I've heard of it, yes.
So they came out with this little machine. It's like a 3-button with a really nice mic in it. It's pretty cool. I'll show it to you.
Yep.
So I thought if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to get some live of you guys.
You can record whatever you want. We'll talk about it after because we're doing a bunch of new tunes that aren't even on this record. They're like the next batch.
Oh, really?
Tonight. Absolutely. Record everything you want.
I've seen you play, I don't know, this is probably my 4th time. So Ron, want to take off your coat, stay a while?
It's cold.
It's not that cold. It's actually it's like tropical weather now.
Outside it's awesome. It was 35 degrees.
It was balmy today.
Yeah, it felt like it was summer vacation. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, I don't know, 50 degrees different when it's negative 20.
Negative 20?
No, it's negative 15.
Where was it negative 15?
In Vermont.
I was there Friday, and it was negative 20 in Burlington on Friday night at midnight.
Did you play somewhere?
At Nectar's, yeah. It was negative 7, but with wind chill, it was negative 20.
Negative 20.
It was the coldest I've ever felt. Yeah.
I was there for about 9 years or so at school and working, and you forget.
Well, you get the lake effect, right?
The lake effect, yeah, you get some lake effect snow, but it's so freezing. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's 6 months of winter. Who'd you play with at Nectar's, your band? These guys?
Yeah, the Antiguas. Yeah.
Been in Nectar's.
That was my first time ever at
times.
Nectar's. I've heard about it for years, but
place is awesome.
I loved it.
We didn't go when we were there. We didn't go to Nectar's, right?
Yeah, we did.
We
got fries there.
That was that place outside where we saw that 16-year-old prodigy who's now 40?
No, that was called Red Square. But I think we went to Nectar's for a beer.
Oh, that's right. We put the sticker on the wall, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. It's
well, that's great.
Are we recording that?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, see, this is what we talk about. See, there's nothing to worry about.
Jen Kearney plays a place up in Burlington called, there's Manhattan Pizza. They used to be a big place to play last year.
I've never played there. The only other place I played...
Oh, Radio Bean.
I played there, it might be 3 months ago. I mean, we just started going up to Burlington, and I like it.
It's not that far.
It's kind of far. I mean, if you drive back, it's far. It's like going to New York and back.
That's true.
3.5 hours.
I guess if you're just going...
it's not far if you're...
It's far enough.
On tour, but if you're going for a Friday night gig and coming home, you have to get up. It's far. It's further than this gig from my house.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's further than Fenway?
Yeah, this is... I can walk here.
We're psyched to have you on. I first saw you playing here. Was it when we did John Oates?
I think you were doing Josh Body in the
back.
We
were doing Josh Body. That's who it was. We were doing Josh on the stage at the Sinclair, and then you guys are playing here that night. It's all psychedelic, and you got the B movies playing in the background.
We have a little bit of B movies and just visual stuff. It just kind of depends on the night. It's different every night with the visual stuff.
It's great. I haven't seen a show like that unless you go to like a bigger show that's just so like intimate. Yet you're kind of surrounded by a lot of different things.
Where'd that come from? You mentioned your girlfriend before. That was
she goes by Fancy Pantson. That's her.
Oh,
that's her. That's her.
Her.
When she does her
visual
stuff.
Fancy Pantson. Yeah.
We started this series DownBeat Monday at a smaller venue down the street called the Plow and Stars.
Yeah, sure.
So we did it there for a year, and we've been here a year. So we've been doing this for 2 years. And when we started, I've always played instrumental music, but with this project, the Antiguas, 2 years ago is when we basically started playing as that. And I had put out 2 instrumental records before this that was more like Memphis soul, not quite as tripped out.
Pre-beard.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, I didn't have a beard then. And
but the Antiguas is a little more cerebral, tripped out.
Yeah, so I put out those records, and I also tour with other bands, and this guy named Charlie Musselwhite, so I'm on the road a lot.
Right.
And then a few years went by after putting those records out. I wasn't really writing music. I was playing with Charlie and just existing as a musician, doing lots of gigs and still playing a lot. And then I was writing some new music, and it was far different than those past 2 records. So I wanted to put a different name on it. I still wanted it to be my thing, but put a name so it was clear it was something new. So we had the opportunity to do a weekly thing at the Plow. And one thing I have always noticed, being an instrumentalist and performing live, is that a lot of times people have a short attention span. So if I'm going to be playing for 3 hours or 2 sets at a small venue, we talked about it and we brainstormed of how we're going to keep people interest every single week. A lot of music I liked in the 60s and stuff, visuals, or if you go to bigger stages throughout the years, there's light shows and there's visuals. So that's where it started. And we did it at the Plow. It's a much smaller screen above us. It's not really what we do.
It's a tiny place there.
Yeah, so it was still cool. People liked it. And
it was like a pilot. You kind of ran
Season
got the
1.
taste of it.
Season 1. We love the Plow. We love everybody there. We still play
there.
there.
Yeah, they're great people there.
We play there in different bands. Antiguas, haven't played there since then, but I've played there with friends, with people that play there weekly. I'm actually going to be going and sitting in tomorrow night with some friends there called the B3 Kings. They play every Tuesday.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yep. So Plow's great. I love it. Music 7 days a week, and they treat their musicians nice. So
they do.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they treated us very nice, and they didn't know who the hell we were. So that was I felt welcome there.
Yeah. No one
which
ever.
is
No
not,
one knows
which is
who
not
we
always
are.
the case.
What kind of music do you guys do?
It's kind of like a mix between I don't know. We've got an album sitting on my desk, the master sitting on my desk that we're waiting that we got to just get on the ball and put it out.
Release.
So yeah, it's an EP.
What's the name of the band?
The Butler Frogs.
Okay. Well, yeah.
It's fun music. It's piano.
Is it
bass, drums,
swampy?
No.
Frogs?
No, it's not. It's not. But
swamp rock.
Swamp rock?
Yeah.
No one's ever called it swamp rock.
But I saw somewhere that you had. I don't know if you still feel wedded to this way of calling your music acid blues.
There's a lot of adjectives on your website.
Yeah, I don't
about
know.
what you do.
I don't know.
Because acid jazz certainly was an offshoot of.
Well, I hate that question. Like, what do you sound like? It's like
it's very hard.
It's really hard. So you just throw out a bunch of things. But
that's why I didn't ask the question. What do you sound like? Now you have to define acid blues.
All right. Well, I'm going to put it this way: the best short description that I did not come up with, and someone has said, and it's happened twice recently, and I like it, but I can't say it about myself because they're my heroes. I can't put myself in that same category. But a few people are like, when they've seen the show, they're like, oh yeah, it's like Booker T on acid. I'll take that. Memphis soul music, very influence from blues and soul music of the 60s, but it's a little bit more tripped out.
Yeah, I would think that initial description is more descriptive of your first 2 albums.
Right,
now,
Memphis Soul.
The Memphis Soul stuff.
Correct.
There's got a lot of horns in there.
Right.
And honestly, I haven't heard all the new album.
Right.
But certainly there's a lot. You've got the organ in there.
Same instrumentation. I think we're all, I know the bass player and drummer myself are heavily influenced from High Records, Stax, and we've had a few different organ players, and most of them are too. Yeah, I mean that's some of my favorite music. This is more free, like less rules in my head as a songwriter with the Antiguas. I just kind of write what I want. If I went into it saying I want to write Booker T style music, I feel like I'd just be copying.
One thing I liked about the Matthew Stubbs stuff, just your style in general, was that you could play one chord for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, I only know like 2 or 3.
That's right.
all I need.
I like the idea that there's blues that has a signature to it, and you have, what I've noticed is you could do a progression. It's going to maybe go 1, 4, 5, but the 5 is going to be a little different than what you would expect.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about.
Thank you.
That's what I like about like putting your own stamp on blues, because you can do it the same way every time.
Yeah,
and especially if you don't have vocals. It's almost as if you need to do that.
Sure. Blues is in a weird place right now. A lot of people are afraid to say it's blues because I think there's a lot of terrible blues out there right now, in my opinion. There's a lot of modern blues I don't really like. Never mind whether I like it or not. I feel like it has bad PR, and I talk about this a lot, with musician friends of mine. I have a lot of friends that are very bluesy artists, and they're young artists coming up, and they don't want to use that word. Antiguas are not a blues band, because when I think of blues, if I'm going to really say, oh, it's a blues band, I'm going to compare that in my head to like Little Walter or early Johnny Guitar Watson or Guitar Slim, all B.B. King. But those are the things in my mind when I think of blues. If I'm going to call something straight blues or traditional blues. That's what it is. And I feel like rock blues now, a lot of people love rock blues. That is actually what people think when you say blues. That's what it's going to sound like. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that's why if you go to a lot of blues shows, there's not really that many young people there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But there's lots of younger artists like Jack White. Not that he's in his 20s anymore, but when he came up, he was really young. Or Dan Auerbach with the Black Keys stuff. They were playing blues.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's debatable that it was blues on those early records.
Well, that was a stigma, I guess you would call it.
Right.
It might be too strong a word. But certainly people think it's going to be B.B. King, just standard blues.
But I think there's a way that over every decade, take the Stones, take, the Beatles. There's so many different bands that were able to take some blues foundation. Clapton, obviously.
It's really hard for me to really connect with any music that doesn't have a little blues in it.
Help me with the transition to the psychedelic change. So you did your albums. What brought you into that next phase of going to the Antiguas? From
my last record to the record that's about to come out.
The last record was in 2010.
Right, so we're looking at 8 years. It's 8 years, right?
Yeah.
I just listened to a lot more music, a wider range of music in the last 5 to 6 years. I still listen to a lot of blues, but I listen to music I never thought I would listen to, and I listen to that more than anything now. I listen to it more than blues at the moment. It's just, you go through phases as an artist or a musician. Afrobeat music, I love Afrobeat. I love just psychedelic music. From the 60s till now, lots of modern music. I listen to more modern music now than when I was a kid. And I think when I'm writing instrumental music, I just want to write a cool song. So if I say it's going to be one little style and that's it, I feel like you're boxed in. You just write a song. I write almost on all the stuff. I write all the parts. Or I co-write a lot of stuff now with a guy named Dave Brophy, who's around here. He produces stuff.
I've heard Dave Brophy, yeah.
He produces a lot of stuff in town. He's a drummer, but he plays all instruments. And we're working on a new record, and basically it's him and I co-writing and playing all the instruments. It'll still be an Antiguas record. I have other people on it, but 90% of it is just him and I. And I'm not sure, like, all these great bands, when they went in, that are pop bands like the Beatles or the Stones, were going in and saying, we're going to make only a blues record. I think they were just writing songs. They liked melody, they liked hooks.
How much does the fact that you're an instrumentalist, there's no lyrics or anything,
right?
How much does that free you up to be a little bit more, I don't want to say creative, but just kind of give you a door that maybe someone who needs to have that, who needs to have lyrics there to give maybe more structure to the song, or maybe more different parts of the song? That, I mean, there's certainly a lot of different parts to your songs, but like how does that allow you to do whatever the hell you want, really?
Well, I don't know, man.
Or does it?
Basically, I want to write a song. If I were to walk into, a 1,000-person rock club, or I were to walk into a place the size of the Plow and Stars that holds 50 people, when I'm writing a tune, I'm trying to think of, if I walked through the door right now, and it wasn't me playing it was another band playing it, would I want to hear that? Would it be like I'm trying to make it like have a vibe? You walk in, it's different. I don't want to sound like anybody else. It's not my only goal, but that's what I'm looking at. Like, if I walked into a bar tomorrow night, if I was off in any city, and someone was playing something interesting, and there was a visual element to it, that's what I'm going for. I'm trying to write stuff I'd want to listen to.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that it's live. You picture it live.
I do, but I'm really into recording, and I really like the studio. So it's both ways. When I'm recording songs, there's a lot of time spent if this is just on headphones and you're on a run or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just saw you. I think you just put something on Facebook. Was it maybe with you? Was it with Fancy Pantson?
Yeah, my girl. Yeah,
you did. Yeah. She was on the organ, and then you just started a riff, and you just kind of repeated yourself there. And
yeah, it was like a snowstorm, and we were stuck in our loft, and I always am writing like little riffs or ideas, and we were just sitting there, and she had a couple fur coats. I'm like, let's put the fur coats on. I'm like, she doesn't play music. She doesn't know how to play organ.
She looked like she was doing.
I just showed her how to do a C minor chord. I'm like, here, play that.
When I'm writing, which I haven't been doing very much lately but it's that repetitive riff and I'll just build on that, and maybe I'll just repeat it for like 5 minutes, just to let it breathe and see where it goes, and then eventually I'll add something else to it. Is that something that you do as an exercise?
Yeah, I mean, I never think of it as an exercise, but yeah, I do that, sure. Each tune that I mess around with or write is different. Like sometimes I'll just loop a riff exactly like that and then try to write a melody on top of it. Sometimes I just track things out with a drum beat, and I can play drums and bass and keyboard enough to like get my ideas recorded. I wouldn't perform on those other instruments. Bass maybe, but not keys or drums.
I want to back up a little bit. So as far as your roots are concerned, it's unusual for like a little kid to get into blues, or you seem to know your blues history, and you know the names. So is this something that came down from your parents, or is this something you discovered yourself? Or?
My father plays guitar, and
you're from Boston, right?
Born in Massachusetts, but I went through like middle school and high school in southern New Hampshire.
Okay.
Near Derry, and then as soon as I was 18, I moved back to the city, went to school here for a bit, and then moved to LA and moved back. So adult life is Boston area for the most part. But yeah, my father was really into early rock and roll and blues. He loves blues. So I was exposed to it that way. And that's up until, I would say, about 8 to 10 years ago. That might be exclusively what I listened to almost my whole life, is just traditional blues. Like I had blinders on. I liked Hendrix and I liked the Beatles, stuff like that. It's undeniable. But overall, when I picked up a guitar, I was pretty much only playing blues, from my late teens up until my mid to late 20s.
Now, was this to work on chops for soloing and to be able to play in a live blues band? Was that what some of that listening was from?
It's just what spoke to me, and I was gigging since I was maybe 16.
Yeah, right.
That was the genre I got into, and that's who hired me. I had my band, but I also have been a sideman my entire life for getting paid to play music.
Without vocals, to have a really good groove in a live band where you're resonating with people in that audience, studio or live, there's got to be hooks.
Oh, yeah, I love melody. I don't listen to almost no music without hooks. For me,
I don't know. It's kind of a cool concept to think about instrumental hooks.
Historically, it's been huge in American music. It's just of recently that it's not pop music anymore.
Yeah.
Like 50s, 60s, Duane Eddy, Link Wray. There were so many bands that were instrumental that were actually pop bands that had hits. Honky Tonk, Bill
Without
Doggett.
vocals.
Yeah, instrumental, yeah. All these guys were giants.
You hear about your classic hook in a pop song. Whenever I hear hook, I don't know about you, Chuck, but I think about vocals. But you do know that there are classic lines and classic solos in Floyd and Stones and The Who and amazing little hooks of instrumental pieces.
Well, it's like the Ventures
in our brains.
or
Santana,
Dick Dale.
Yeah,
those are like in the 60s, right? Or maybe when did those come out?
Late 60s. There's stuff that goes into the 70s too, but yeah.
You don't hear that kind of music in the mainstream at all.
I've said this recently in a different interview, not in pop music, but there's all these other genres. All right, it might not be quote-unquote pop music, meaning you're not going to hear it when you put on commercial radio.
Yeah.
Dance music, electric dance music.
Classical music. The epitome of the hook is classical music.
But even not in that space, stoner rock, heavy metal. There's so many metal bands. I don't listen to a lot of metal, but there's so many metal bands that are instrumental. My girlfriend works at one of the bigger venues in town. It's all different styles. There's tons of bands that come in. It's doom rock. Some band I've never heard of, and they're selling, 1,000 tickets, or they're at House of Blues with 3 bands selling 2,500 tickets.
Doom rock.
Yeah, doom rock.
Wow, that's a bummer.
So I don't know.
I want to hear it. I'm interested.
We should get some doom rock on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not cool enough to know what to recommend, but that exists, and there's all these instrumental bands in the jam band circuit. There's tons of them.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Lettuce. There's all these pretty big bands. Galactic. They'll have vocals on some stuff.
God, I love that band.
Yeah, great band.
Out of New Orleans.
Yeah. But you're right. Either it's a jam bandy sound, or it will go into where the lick is the lyric.
I think such a genius of it is to be able to have the open space where you're going to jam, but you have these periods of identifiable I want Matthew Stubbs licks that are hooks.
I want to create a mood when I write a song. And then I want mostly, not always, but mostly I'm trying to write something that gets stuck in your head when you leave, and the next day you're humming it. Even though it's instrumental, and we do jam at times, there's songs that live might go 6-7 minutes. But my record, there's a few tunes that are over 4 minutes, or maybe hit 5, but most of my songs are like right around 3.5 minutes on the recordings.
Yeah. Does anybody approach you, or have you approached them for vocals? Like you mentioned Julie Rhodes is going to be here tonight.
Yeah,
Does that
we
happen?
work together in different capacities. Yeah, I mean the Antiguas thing. I mean, maybe I'm not going to say I would never put a singer on it. I'm not actively looking for a singer for this project, but
Yeah.
I work with a lot of singers. I've made my living playing music, backing up different singers and different artists. So
You sing yourself?
I don't sing. Nope, not one note. Zero. Zip. Zilch. You don't
That's
wanna
right,
hear
Ron
me.
can't
you
sing
do not.
either.
You do not want to hear this guy sing.
I'm sure you're better than you think you are.
Well, that's.
Nope.
I love the idea of the non-lyrical hook.
I do too. I really do. And you know what? We talked to.
Can you sing one, Chuck?
No.
Is that not possible?
I can, but I don't want to hurt anybody. I told you I talked to Chris Delmhorst a couple months ago, and she did a Cars cover album.
Yep.
And one of the things that we talked about.
Instrumental?
No. She did with lyrics. But the beautiful thing about the Cars, I mean, it's not really the same kind of music, but every instrument was a lyric. You can.
Well, the keys too.
I mean, the keys especially, but I mean, you're right.
Well, those are all hooks.
But it's
Right.
like 50 hooks in one song.
Well, yeah.
And that's not always the case in songs.
No,
right?
not all. But I love that.
That's one of the things I loved about the Cars is that every instrument had a lick.
They're playing melodies. All the instruments are playing little riffs or melodies or hooks.
That if
you like.
if you had no lyrics, that would still almost work because
Right.
they were a lyric in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do tonight?
In what capacity? Do a lot of things.
Who are you playing with
Who
again?
do you have
Remind
with
us.
keys?
The Antiguas. So it's myself on guitar, baritone guitar at times. My drummer Chris Ravelli is on drums. Mark Hickok's on bass. Justin Lopes will be on Farfisa for the most, but then he has some other synthesizers he'll be playing. I don't know what he's bringing tonight. And we have a special guest, a guitar player from around here. His name's Johnny Trauma. Plays with a bunch of different bands in the area. Usually there's a few guests that will sit in. I think there's a couple singers coming down. Cool. My buddy Robbie from his band Ripe, I think, is going to come and
good.
sing.
Yeah, you always have people coming in
tunes.
and out. So
Yeah, it's every week, so I think it's fun to have some different stuff every night.
Well, you won the BMA. What was it called?
There's a long title.
The Live Ongoing Residency of the Year.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd have a residency if it wasn't ongoing.
Yeah. Well, it's
Or
just,
alive.
Yeah, right.
Or alive.
dead,
Yeah.
non-going.
Right.
But it's an unusual award.
But congratulations.
But congratulations!
Yes.
It's an unusual award. I mean, I know there are a lot of residencies going on.
Oh,
out
there's
there.
a lot. There's a lot.
I know, but I think yours is. I'm not even sure I can say this. Yours seems unique because of everything that goes into it. I haven't seen a ton of residencies. I've seen a few that people, but a lot of times it's a singer-songwriter going up there and they're just there. But yours is really kind of more of an event. It's not just you and your band. I love how you bring in different,
Well, I appreciate
different people.
that. I think it goes back to what I said earlier, where really my girlfriend and myself. I mean, she's a huge part of this on the the back end of it with the visuals and the planning of everything. And the Sinclair, they're very, very supportive and
They're great here.
they help out in a lot of ways. But it's it's a huge effort to do every week. I think residencies can get stale if you do it for an extended amount of time. So it's important to really have a team on board. And again, I wanted it to be something I wanted to hang out at. Like if this was going on and I wasn't the guy putting it on, say it was a Thursday and someone was doing, could be a different style, but it was this atmosphere and this vibe, I'd probably be there every week. You know what I mean? That's
true. You got to mix it up.
Yeah.
Too.
I
like the visual aspect. So is that mixed up each week too?
It's different every week.
Yeah.
2 sets. We do about 2 60 to 70 minute sets depending on the night, and so it's 2 separate videos that are edited and to the sets every week. It's a lot of work. It's hours. She spends hours every week.
I love that concept of the multi sensory thing.
I don't know why it's not a more popular thing, to
Yeah.
be honest. I mean, a lot of big bands do it, though. I say that it's not popular. It just doesn't. I don't think. Look, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like,
But you know
like
what,
you saw
there's
what time I had to get here today. I don't start till 10, and I have to get here at like 7 to set everything up. So it's.
Well, I think it's kind of natural fit because there's not a lot of live music lately that people go to, and we've talked about this on the podcast several times in the last year, where you got to get people off their couches to start.
That's actually one of my lines when I invite people off the couch.
So it's nice to see it in person, and you're like engaging with other people. You're having a beer. You're
Right.
physically
do,
out.
Do you get out to see a lot of music yourself?
I would say 9 out of 10 nights, whenever I'm off, I'm out. I go out every night. I go out too much. I should stay home a little bit more.
You need to be on your couch.
And I'm not on my couch ever.
And how many gigs do you have a week usually?
It depends if I'm touring with a big portion of the year. I tour with Charlie Musselwhite, so I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm just not in town.
Yeah, you've been with him for like what over a decade maybe?
This is my 10th.
This is your 10th year?
Yeah. I'm gigging a little bit less now because we're trying to kind of really focus our efforts behind this record.
yeah.
And
Let's talk about the record. Can we do that?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Sorry to interrupt.
Chuck's
So go ahead.
Yeah, he's giving you a look, man.
I already hate him. I couldn't hate him any more than I already did.
No, but let's talk about this record because we want to promote and we also want to like make sure it gets out
Yeah,
let's do it. We need more beers. We're running out of beer.
Because we are known throughout the world.
Cool.
Actually, we are.
We have 4 downloads in China the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
I was looking at my what do they call it when you analytics? I was looking at my analytics on my website.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a couple in some new countries last week. It was exciting.
Yeah, I freaking
There's
love
like
it.
one in some country I've never heard of. I'm like, that's awesome.
New project, new album. What's the deal? What's it called?
It's self-titled. Matthew Stubbs
yes.
and the Antiguas.
What's the story with the Antiguas? Why is it called the Antiguas?
Isn't Antigua an island?
Yes,
No,
it is. No, it actually is, but that's not why.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, you don't have any listeners there, do you?
You will.
Or you would know.
Yeah, we have one in Namibia.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's
Maybe
that?
It's in
It's
Africa.
in Africa.
Say it again.
Africa.
No,
Namibia.
Not Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Afro beats,
Africa. Have you heard of it, Africa?
Ever hear of Africa? Ever hear of it?
That's how you pronounce it.
You like blues? You never heard of Africa? Yeah, I've heard of Africa.
Yeah, Namibia.
And anyway, Antigua. So the
it's an
name.
island in the Caribbean.
Yes, but that's not what it's that's not where I got it from. So when I started writing these tunes and I was trying to come up with a name, it was a little bit more. Half the tunes on the record were very percussion based. First of all, we had a percussionist for a long time.
Yeah, I've seen you play with 2 drum sets.
We'll do that. We'll do drummers, but I actually had congas and bongos up.
What do you mean bass?
It was just like when
started with that groove.
when I would like write a tune, that was in my mind.
Yeah,
I had,
yeah.
2 or 3
Percussive.
drummers. Right. So anyway, Fender Musical Instruments had a color for a custom color. I don't know if it was a custom color, but a color. And it was this really ugly green sunburst color, like moss green. Actually, I have a guitar down there tonight. You'll see that I play my baritone is Antigua. They call it Antigua.
Okay.
It's a hideous color. It's so ugly. I love it.
What was the goal of this album? Because it had been a long time since you put out one in 2008 and then 2010.
Yep.
And then you had a nice good period of time you were touring.
I was just touring. Yeah, I was touring.
So what got you back in the studio to put out an album?
Well, I had written a couple tunes, and we've been doing a couple of these tunes for years, like, I don't know, probably 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was just time to record again. And my personal life changed a lot. I was married for a while, and I got divorced, and I have a new girlfriend.
Do you have kids?
No kids. I have 2 TV sets and a car.
That's enough.
And like 1,000 guitars. But
2 TV sets.
2 TV sets, yeah. Rear projection.
Old school.
No, because
Lo-fi,
you said
not high def.
You said
Low
set.
def.
That's old school.
2
You never
TV
hear
sets.
of a TV set.
And that's what I call them. Why do they call them sets? You only get one when you buy one.
Well, I just saw
Classic Jerry Seinfeld.
We're getting
right there.
deep.
Yeah, right.
We're getting deep.
You know what I just heard today? Actually, someone said, "Why do we have fingertips and our toes don't have tips, but we tiptoe?"
Wow.
Strange.
Just blew my mind.
So you got divorced, you got a girlfriend, you got two TVs, and then your life changed, and you said,
It's just,
"You know what?
It's just a different lifestyle. It was just on the back burner. I was a full-time musician touring all the time, and that just was not, unfortunately, on the forefront. And when that goes away, when you decide that's not working and you move on, I feel like you go back to maybe being more yourself again. So I started writing music again.
Yeah.
It's always been my passion,
Yeah.
and it's always been my job. I think I've had a day job a year out of my entire adult life.
You've been able to make a living as a musician this whole time?
Fortunately, yes.
Wow, man. Good
I
for
mean,
you.
there's
Awesome.
there's some things that you have to do, but like
Yeah,
overall, yeah,
no, good for you.
I haven't had to really work a day job.
So
very
you
much.
had a couple songs that you were playing over the last few years.
Yep.
Did you go in and write in the studio, or did you?
I write before. I write my songs.
before.
For this record, most of them were written, all except for one, I think. 1 or 2. I write them myself. I demo them out. I send them to the band, and then we maybe do a rehearsal, one rehearsal, and then we just add them to the set. That's why I said tonight there's some new ones that are not. They're
Okay.
for the next record.
For the next record.
We'll be doing them tonight. Some people don't like to do that. I mean, I feel like you flush it out.
So you're already thinking about the next record. And the
It's already done. I already recorded it.
You've already recorded your record. That's
No.
not the one that is coming out this month.
the next
but
one.
the next one is already
Yeah,
recorded.
I start mixing it next week. Yeah.
All right, good for you. Well, so now you're on a mission now.
I'm on a tear, yeah.
Yeah. Is it a different direction from this last one that you just did yesterday?
It's a little different, but it's like I just feel like it's the next record after. It's the same concept.
You know, I like it when people do that. Some people like can be so prolific and just put an album, and like Wilco, they put out an album freaking twice a year. It seems.
Oh
like.
man, the band that's doing it right now that I listen to a lot is King Gizzard the Lizard Wizard. You hip to them?
No, but I
From
like the name.
Australia. They're on ATO Records. They put out 4 records in 2017. full length. A lot of them are concept records, but still, they're cool records. And I feel like they just put a single out again just now. Like they just dropped the fourth one maybe in December, and they just put another single out.
So this one's coming out. I mean, you've already kind of released it a little bit locally, right?
Locally, we had the album release party, but you can't buy it anywhere yet. You can buy it in January.
So it's 126 is when it's coming out this year.
Yep.
So when's the next album coming out?
I don't know yet. I got to mix it, and we'll see how this record does. I guess I'm aiming for like March 2019, February, March. But I don't know. It kind of depends. It depends on what this record does.
Well, you got it in the can. You can tweak it, and
we spend a lot of time mixing. I mean, recording it and writing it. I spend more time mixing it than doing the other two things.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't plan. I would imagine you can't plan creativity.
Yeah,
if you're inspired to write new songs, you can't just stop.
Right. I had an 8-year drought. You know what I mean? Not even a drought. I just didn't want to do it.
You were just.
I just didn't want to do
playing,
it.
So.
Yeah, playing and mowing the lawn.
Then you shovel in the winter.
We did. I had a snowblower, but yeah.
My snowblower just killed.
No, actually, I didn't have a snowblower. My neighbor had a snowblower.
Mine too.
Yeah.
I just use his.
It was great.
We have a deal where I just do his driveway and mine.
But
I don't own it.
No.
But he fills it with gas.
What town are you in?
Nice. I live in Acton.
Dude,
so
really?
We have snow.
Acton Jazz Cafe.
You're getting screwed.
He takes care of the snowblower. I do his and ours. He's 82.
Oh, okay. Well, he's an older guy.
I'm not getting
mention
screwed.
that part.
You didn't mention that he was
He's an amazing guy.
He's bedridden or something.
Listen, he believe me, he's up at 6 a.m.
That's great. I mean, that's very nice of you to do that.
He can do.
That's not you getting screwed. That's you being a humanitarian. That's like
that.
Yeah,
it is, and it's a great deal, I think, both ways.
I let my neighbor use my shovel, but he has to do my...
I believe we call that a win-win, gentlemen.
I want to get back to music briefly.
No,
just for a second. We talk about snowboards in a second. You said you traveled around a little bit. You were in L.A. for a little bit, I guess.
Yep. 3 years, just under 3 years.
So why are you in Boston? I mean, I know you have some roots here.
Yeah.
But why, as a musician, did you stay in Boston?
I had an opportunity to go move there and tour with a female blues R&B singer who had a lot of gigs and a lot of tours. So I went there, toured with her, and then from that I got a gig with a guy named John Namath, who was like an R&B blues guy who lived in Oakland, but I was still in LA. And then from that I got the opportunity to play with Charlie. And since I got that gig, I've stayed with Charlie.
Charlie Musselwhite.
Charlie Musselwhite.
Yeah.
Yep. And at the time I came back because I met a woman and we got married.
Okay.
She was she was not here though. She lived in the Midwest. She was in the medical profession, and so when we were figuring out where we were gonna live together, I wasn't going to the Midwest at the time, so it was either she was gonna come to LA or we were gonna come back here, and I had my band here, so I was touring with Charlie, but I'd still come back.
A lot of hospitals here.
A lot of hospitals. That industry is really good here. I was still coming back like every few months and doing gigs with my band, even though I live there. My folks are here, and I really like Boston. I mean, I like LA too. I would live in either if it was better than one or the other. But so Boston's been good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough city, just weather-wise.
I don't mind the weather.
I mean, I don't mind the weather either.
Yeah.
I love the weather here.
So for snowblower, do you have?
No, I live in
your own.
Nope, I live in a loft. And I have a garage spot.
Does your girlfriend? What's her name?
Fancy Pantson.
Fancy Pants.
That's not her human name. That's
What's
just
her human name?
No, you can't give that away.
I feel like she has a stage name. I'm gonna go with the stage name.
Okay, cool.
That's how I know her.
She'll be here tonight. Off mic, I'll give you her real name. But she.
We don't have to do last names.
No, I don't want to know a real name.
Where is she from?
She's from Toronto originally. She's Canadian.
Cool. She's Canadian.
Yeah.
Canadians are my favorite people now.
I could have had my citizenship too because my father has dual citizenship, and I didn't do it. And I didn't do it when I was 18. I'm like, no, I'm an American. Why would I need that? Well,
after 18, you can't do it again. You can't do it.
Yeah, you have to figure that out.
Interesting.
At that age, I guess. I don't know.
So my question about Boston: some of the musicians that we've talked to would get frustrated about sometimes how hard it can be. Sometimes in Boston, whether it's about getting paid or whether it's about how many venues are here and the lack of venues. That certainly is getting much better. That aside, I think that the one thing that we've noticed about all the musicians we've talked to is the community here. And I can see that you're really tapped in because of all the other artists that come in.
I mean,
and play with you.
I mean, I have a different, I guess, outlook on all that stuff. I've always been able to get gigs, and that's not like bragging. It's just if I want to do a gig and there's not a venue that's going to call me and give it to me or whatever. There's been lots of times where I booked gigs that didn't have music. I would propose an idea, like for instance, the Sinclair didn't have music. In
this place,
they have their main venue. There was no music.
Are you the first person to do that in the kitchen here?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I think so. So
we should say where we are, by the way.
We are in the Sinclair kitchen, right next to the Sinclair venue.
We are literally next to the kitchen.
52 Church Street.
We love this place.
No, and shout out to Sinclair, and and I think it's great that they support you because it obviously shows that you have such a quality thing going on, a concept.
Well, they support
and it's great.
Yeah, they support live
Well, they support
music.
great live,
No, yeah, they're
huge
very-
bands coming through too. But the fact
Yeah.
that we have this great local homegrown weekly thing is awesome.
When they did that
Yeah.
great thing on Saturday night for Zoomix, that was fantastic. The one-night band, that was great.
Yeah, in the main venue, that was great.
You come out in vinyl.
Yeah,
Is-
the record's out. Yeah, we'll be out on the 26th. It'll be everywhere. And we did like the first 500 we pressed, like limited edition translucent orange vinyl.
Oh, sweet.
They might call it gold, but it looks orange.
Where'd you do it?
It was called Gotta Groove Records out of the Midwest.
Oh, okay.
I forget what city.
Yeah,
but,
I'm just curious.
Easy
I got my
route.
daughter's those suitcase
Oh, those are cool.
turntables. They're actually kind of crappy.
Doesn't sound very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Do you see all the 45s over there?
Yeah, they have 45s here. I think they actually have a turntable around here that they'll play it on if you ask.
I think Joe wants to take a picture in front of those 45s.
Are you gonna just continue to go into the studio and just keep going? Because I know
Yeah, I've
you
already
produce yourself, right?
Yes, me and Dave Brophy, I produce. He co-produces, or we just co-produce, whatever you want to call it. We work together.
Where do you record?
Mostly, I've been recording at this place called Revolution Sound in Charlestown. That's
Okay,
his
I've heard of
studio.
Revolution
But
Sound.
I've done sessions like this record that's coming out now on the 26th of January. Half of it was recorded at New Alliance in Cambridge, and half was recorded at Revolution Sound in Charlestown. The next record, I think there's going to be 10 tunes. 9 were recorded at Revolution Sound, and 8 were recorded there, and 2 tunes were recorded in Somerville at Q Division. Same team, same engineer, Pat DeCenzo. He's my favorite.
Oh, cool.
And
So
Dave,
he knows you. Yeah.
He knows my groove. Yeah,
It's
He's
important.
good. He's young.
'Cause he knows
he's
your
good.
vision, right?
Yeah, and he's just really good at what he does.
You're not explaining to a new person every time.
No,
you
I've
know?
explained enough to him. He knows. He's probably sick of hearing me.
Yeah, I would think that's important, especially doing different studios.
Mostly the same studio, but yeah.
So you're going to work with horns again?
You never know.
Maybe tonight?
Last week there was 2 sax players, friends of mine, that came and did a tune.
Do people ever just pop in?
Yeah. I mean, it's not an open mic thing.
Yeah.
People that sit in, I usually it's arranged that they're coming by.
Yeah, you say,
Once
I
in a
might be
while,
able to
like
come
I have a hunch there might be 1 or 2 more singers coming that they mentioned it. I don't know if they are. If they come, I will get them up. you know.
Yeah. It's going to do some festivals this summer.
I hope so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking to a few of them. So
Okay,
we'll see.
cool.
I mean,
Cool.
Hopefully.
And what else? Anything other than the album? What else? What's big on the horizon?
The next 2 months we just have shows extended regionally, I guess, like New York. We just did Burlington. We have some stuff in Maine, New Hampshire.
I'm psyched to hear the rest of the album. I only heard that one tune.
Yeah.
And I saw you got a couple videos up there too, which I
Yeah.
like a lot.
We have 2 videos. We have one is a live one. One was like an official single from the record. And we have another one coming out this month.
Was the one where you go in the elevator and you go up there? That's
Unwinder. That's the single.
Unwinder, yeah.
We have another one called Bastille Day that Dave Brophy and I wrote together. That will be coming out like a produced video sometime this month. I'm not sure of the date.
Thanks for sitting with us. Really appreciate it. I'm glad we
Let's do
got
it
you
again.
in here finally. And let's go
Yeah.
listen to Matthew Stubbs and the Antiguas. All right.
Over and out.
We stayed after our conversation and watched the show and even recorded some of the live performance on my new toy from iZotope, a Spire Studio, which you should check out at iZotope.com. We'll publish that soon in our in-concert series on our website. To purchase Matt's music and to see where he and the Antiguas are playing, go to MatthewStubbs.net. Go to AboveTheBasement.com where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and look at all the nice pictures we post on Instagram. We are everywhere. On behalf of Ronnie and myself, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, and remember, Boston music, like its history, is unique.